So on this channel, between videos and streams, I've beaten Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fan game, with over 175,000 different Pokemon combinations nearly 20 times. But between all those runs, the ones I've done on my own, or runs that I didn't think were good enough or funny enough to make videos out of, with all the times that I've beaten the Kanto League and become the champion, there's one thing that I have never done. I've never gone to Johto. That's right, this game has an entire post-game Johto journey that ends with you fighting gold at the top of Mount Ember, and I've never seen it. But every journey is a beginning, and that's all about to change. We're not only going to be doing a complete run of Pokemon Infinite Fusions, but we're going to be doing it on its most difficult mode, Modern Mode. If you caught my streams or my starters only video, Modern Mode shuffles the leader's typings and wild encounters to include all 420 Pokemon that are available in this game. Additionally, trainers do a better job covering their type weaknesses and have much better move pools. This video is going to be a brand new run covering the Kanto region, and a video coming soon will cover Johto and beyond. And of course, this wouldn't be one of my Infinite Fusion videos if we weren't doing this entire thing as a hardcore Nuzlocke. Meaning if a Pokemon faints is considered dead, the level cap will be the next leader's ace, no active items can be used in battle, and we're going to be playing on set mode. If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing and maybe clicking that little like button. It really helps me out and I could use your help. Almost 90% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and more than half of you keep coming back. What's going on, everybody? Soap here, and I'm really excited to share our first ever video sponsor with all of you, and it's FlexiSpot. They have a bunch of really awesome standing desks, converters, and even exercise bikes and adjustable beds. I was really excited when FlexiSpot reached out to me because I actually already own a FlexiSpot desk. Back in 2020 when we started working from home, I actually got one of these for my wife, and the new one that I got is actually a huge upgrade. The EBAP comes with 4 customized height options, a child lock, which honestly is essential for me, USB ports, and a drawer. I also really appreciate that it only took me about 15 minutes to assemble once I got it out of the box. And if you've been checking out the video down here, that angle. If you're thinking about upgrading your setup, please consider taking a look at the links in the description down below, and you'll also get an extra 5% off their already amazing deals. Thanks again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the Nuzlocke. Alright, starting off in Professor Oak's lab, I elected to start with the Hoenn starters. In Modern Mode, you're able to grab the Kanto starters pretty early in the game, plus I'll definitely be able to get 2 of them through various events. I decided to go with Torchic since fire and fighting both do pretty well in the early game in Modern Mode. Rando takes the other 2 starters for now, but he's going to have an Eevee later on. Sending in Mudco, we get lucky that he elects to only go for Absorb and Growl, so after a few embers, we manage to take it down. Before taking on Rando again over on Route 22, we pick up a couple of different friends, a lot of which are 2-for-1s, which is super helpful. On Route 22, Rando wants to test out his new team against us, sending in a Shinx. After 2 embers, we manage to take it down. Eevee comes in and does some big damage with an adaptability tackle, but our embers manage to get the burn. So after 2 more, we take it out, unlocking the garden. We grab a Happiny over in the secret garden and this little bunny monster over on Route 3, and now it's time to get ready for Brock. First thing we do is fuse Bidoof and Spinarak, and this little guy's kinda cute, but I feel like if it were real, it would be horrifying. And with our Trapinch Bunnery fusion, I decided to keep it, but we reverse it to get this little goofy guy. In this mode, Brock is a rock-hard Steel-type trainer, sending in a regular, ordinary Duck as his first Pokemon. Spinazoof comes in for us, and we go for an Infestation. Tanking a Headbutt, then a Water Gun, we just go for Absorb. Continuing to keep ourselves healed up as much as we can, I just keep on spamming Absorb until eventually we take the Duck down after a few rounds. His Ace D Jr. comes out doing the same thing. We start off with an Infestation before swapping out into our Bunny. Taking a Confusion, a Bulldoze gets him down pretty low, activating his Berry. A Gyro Ball activates our own Berry, and 2 more Bulldozes KO the Mime, earning us our first badge. Over by Mount Moon, we find Nurse Joy tending to this wounded Geodude. Brock comes over to check things out since he's a mineral enthusiast. He vows to help make this dude more sturdy than he's ever been before, fusing it with an Aron for a dude. After grabbing our Magikarp, we fight our way through Mount Moon, and we get a Clefsparse and a shiny Geodude. Nice. I wonder if it's the one Brock had earlier. At the end of the tunnel, we find Team Rocket. It turns out they're attempting a triple fusion. They've stolen all the Moonstones in Mount Moon to power up this machine, before creating the ultimate rocket grunt starter, Rakashu. The machine explodes, causing Team Rocket to blast off again for the first time. We grab a Yanma over on Route 4, then a trade in the Pokemon Center gets us to Bulbasaur. Now, it's time to start filling out our team some more. First, we use Clefable with Chansey for a Chanfable. And while it's not the most unique design, this chonky lass is going to be invaluable. Next, we fuse Shinx with Fletchling for this adorable little Shilling. Using Torchic and Magikarp, we can then evolve them both right away into the very intimidating Garabuskin. Spinadoof goes ahead and evolves also, reaching its final form, Area Bell. And I still really like this design. Trapeary loses this custom sprite, but I promise they're going to have one later on. Finally, Shilling can evolve twice into the awesomum Luinder. I love this little electric hippogriff. Rando is waiting over on Nugget Bridge, his crippling anxiety not allowing him to speak to so many people in a row. He pretends that he's the first challenger so he can wait for us to beat everyone ahead of him. Sending in his Cottonex, our new Garabuskin comes in. Doing about 50% with an Ember, he drains, then paralyzes us before we knock him below half of the peck. Swapping into Luinder, he heals back up. And after 2 pecks, we manage to take down this cat dog. His starter Solavi comes in, and after we manage to get the flinch on our first bite, the second one gets the KO. Niniyard comes in, and thanks to his Focus Sash, he managed to get some chip damage on us, but both he and Phoebus both get KO'd pretty quickly. Over on 24, we grab a Solosis, and we meet up with Bill in his lab. In Bill's lab, we find him hanging out with his good buddy Rhydon. He's trying to perfect fusion by fusing himself with a Pokemon. While the operation's a success, he was hoping for the reverse fusion, so he asks us to help him activate this machine. After helping him, it appears that only he comes out the other side, but he assures us that he's rock hard exactly where he needs to be, and gives us some tickets to keep quiet. Misty's an Ice Trainer in Modern Mode, sending out a Gliari as her first Pokemon. Starting off with our Beaver, we tank an Icy Wind and set up a Swords Dance. She sets up the Hail, and a single rollout takes the bunny down. Her Ace Manras is out next, confusing us. We don't break through, hitting ourselves for huge damage, so we need to swap into Chanfable. Not in the best position, we just kind of need to cheese ourselves through this. Between Draining Kiss, Soft Boils, and Sing, this takes forever. But we're able to keep ourselves healthy while we whittle this monster down. I was originally kind of bummed out about getting Happiny, but I literally do not think we could have won this fight otherwise. And the second badge is now ours. On our way over to the SSN, we grab ourselves a bunch of new friends, and now it's time to hit up this boat party. Rando's also on the SSN bragging about how famous his grandfather is. After seeing that we have a party of 5 Pokemon, he shouts that he has over 40, challenging us to a battle with 4. His evolved Doggo takes a Flame Charge, but it does go down on the second. Niniyard does its usual thing, getting in some damage, but ultimately going down after his Focus Sash is popped. Solavi takes the first bite, getting us down into the red, but thanks to our berry, we can stay in and manage to get the KO on the second. And after finishing off his fish, we get to take on Surge. Surge is now a fighting trainer. He asks us if we want to wrestle, but I'm here for a Pokemon battle. His first Pokemon is a Nosekeep, going in for a Flame Charge on purpose to up our speed. He gets the rock set up. After a Brick Break, we get the KO, and Coughloom comes in. Forgetting that this thing is Bullet Seed, we take some big damage before doing a bit of our own. Getting it down into the red, we get smacked really low as he heals back up. After one more smack, we swap into the Lulinder, and after a peck, he heals up again, so we go for a Roost. With a Stout Spark, we manage to do some big damage and paralyze it, and we get the KO on the second turn. His Ace Houndblade comes in, and a bite does some huge damage to us, and we also flinch. Sending in Chanfable, he bulks up twice, and I smooch him for some huge damage. After we get flinched a bunch of times, we manage to break through for one more Smoochy Kiss, and we send Surge back in. 3 down, 5 to go. On our way through Rock Tunnel, we make a few stops to fill out our team a little bit more. Additionally, the new level cap allows us to fuse Snorlax and Nidoking for the intimidating Snorking. I decide to head into Celadon before fighting in Pokemon Tower and see what else we can grab. After taking care of that, our Lulinder goes ahead and evolves into a Luxinder. I love that this form has a custom sprite for every stage of the evolution. It's definitely a new early game favorite of mine. In Pokemon Tower, we find Rando standing by a grave, sobbing with a glassy look in his eyes. He tells us that it's his mother's grave? Looking at it, the epitaph reads that it's for Bone Thug the Marowak, and things are getting kind of awkward, so I ask him if he wants to battle. Sending in his doggo, we send our Luxinder in and go for a fly, doing some good damage as he float switches out into his new Axgon. Healing up with a Roost, I go for another fly, getting the Oko. Litzel has a Cobra Berry to help resist my bite, and then hits us hard with an Ice Punch, but the second one managed to take it out. Slugbass just does its best. Duo V just barely holds on, hitting us pretty hard with the Swift, and then healing up. He does the damage thing again, but this time we get a higher roll, and his dog comes back in. Swapping in Snorking, predicting an electric move, and Drill Run manages to take it down. Nenard bites us, so we slap it for about 50%. After one more round, this thing goes down as well, and in the battle. Rando, snapping out of it, returns back to normal, asking why we're fighting. But then we hear some shouting going on the other side of the room. We find Team Rocket bullying this older guy. When he won't tell them what they want to know, they force him upstairs. Trying to follow upstairs, Rando stops us, letting us know that he's already been up there, and unless we can find a way to repel the ghost, they try to possess you, explaining the whole Bone Thug thing. Going towards the gym, we see Rando fighting off 2 Rocket Grunts. Attempting to join in, they take the opportunity to run off. Rando, vowing revenge, says he'll beat the Rockets before we can. Not sure where he went in the opposite direction though, but alright. While fighting through the sewers and finding their secret base, our bird friend reaches his awesome final form. Garabuskin also evolves into Garakin, and I love the fins on this water chicken. Trapani also evolves into something unspeakable. At the end of their base, we find Giovanni, the Rocket leader. It turns out he's already beaten Erica in a Pokemon battle, so now it's up to us to stop him. Now, this fight can be intense, and honestly, I'm a little scared as he sends out this Mafia bird. We send in our Spider instead of a Swords Dance. Not even considering that it's a bird, I go for a Crunch, doing some big damage, and then a Shadow Sneak basically does nothing, putting us down into the red. Swapping in the Lux Flame, we manage to cut its attack, and then we take about 40% from a Sludge Bomb. After he heals up, 2 Thunderbolts take it down. Kekgon is out next, swapping into our starter, we cut its attack as it goes for a Rock Slide. After a second one, an Aqua Tail manages to get the Oko. Smearguard goes for a Hex, but again, one and done. Disdain doesn't seem to like me very much, so we switch in a Lux Flame, taking an Aqua Tail. Going for a Fly, we manage to get it down to its Focus Sash, and one more takes it out. And honestly, this is the smoothest Modern Mode Giovanni fight I've ever had. Now it's time for us to take on Erica for our Rainbow Badge. She's traded the grass in for bugs and sends out a Galvanape. Forgetting that she didn't have a Typher as her first Pokemon anymore, I swap into a Lux Flame. He U-turns out right away, going into Vulpix. And a Flamethrower only does about 40%. After taking a Fiery Dance, our chicken comes in and he swaps back as well. We do get lucky on her missing, and we Oko both the Ape as well as her Rose. With her A's back out, I send in Chanfable. After getting frozen, she thaws us out right away, and I just start cheesing. Maxing out our evasion and healing up, I just start smooching her. Through all the potions, burns, and dances, we just keep on slapping and kissing. And after what feels like forever, we earn our Rainbow Badge. After heading back to Pokemon Tower, we save Mr. Fuji off-screen in the most excellent way possible. You really should have seen how cool it was. We head over to Future City. We also meet a bunch of new friends along the way. Before taking on Koga, Chanfable goes ahead and evolves into its Blissable form, and we are finally ready to take on the Master of Darkness. Koga, unable to totally drop poison from his team, sends out a Weirion as his first Pokemon. Our Kickin' Chicken leads things off for an Aqua Tail, revealing that it's actually a Zoric. After he heals up twice, a couple of Brick Breaks manage to take down this deceptive little fox. With Haunchfire coming in second, we go as swapping to Snorking, taking a Drill Peck. Getting knocked down to about half, a Drill Run Okos the bird, and Abtop forces us to swap in a Lux Flame. After taking a close combat, we use Fly, scoring the KO. His final Pokemon is an actual Weirion, and somehow, I get poisoned while I'm in the sky. I'm not even going to narrate the next few turns. Honestly, this is absolute BS. If I had used Dig, I wouldn't have been able to get poisoned. So why can he poison me while I'm flying? This is my first loss of the run, and it's to a glitch. I am so angry. Lux Flame is my favorite Pokemon that I've had so far this run. Setting in Bliss Fable, I go for a Will-O-Wisp. Even though I'm weak to poison, I'm so tanky that it doesn't even matter. And because of Magic Guard, the poison doesn't do any dots. We just go back and forth for a while until eventually I take this cheater down and we earn our Soul Badge. Needing to fill our team back up, I fuse Pichu and Eevee, and then I take it all the way into the awesome, chonky little Vapor Chew. I know Light Ball Pikachu would probably do more damage, but I wanted the added tankiness since I'm doing Modern Mode. Plus, now I can also equip a different item. After saving everyone as Silph from Team Rocket, we run into Rando. He had come here before and just got stuck in the elevator. Upset that we did all the work, he challenged us to a battle to prove that he could have done it if he didn't get stuck in the elevator. Whimsicott comes in first against our barrel, and I forget that he's water, not normal. And after setting up a Swords Dance, I go down to a Volt Switch. I think losing Talon took a toll on my brain. With Vaporeon in, we go and set in Bliss Fable. Unsure if it has Magic Guard or not, we go to max out our evasion and then just start smooching. Realizing we don't have enough PP to deal with its healing, I swap into Vapor Chew, set up a Nasty Plot. After taking a few hits, we heal up with our Berry and then go for a Surf, getting it down to about 40% before we get hit into the red. A second one manages to take it out, and he sends his Cotton Dog back in. Swapping into Bliss, he sets up a Substitute. Oh, that's funny. Substitute blocks incoming status moves. He Volt Switches out again into his Bug, so we burn it, and after a few Iron Heads, we manage to max out our evasion. We let the burn slowly do its thing, but then he Baton passes into Lampsil. Knowing that I can't afford to switch out, we drain the cat until eventually it goes down, and I can take Ninard out as well. Whimsicott comes back in and he sets the sub back up. After we break it, we manage to get the burn off this time before he Volt Switches out again. With Magtick in there, I can't really cheese it, so I send in my starter only for me to get burned. Sending in Vibrunny, a Lava Plume does some decent damage, and we go for the EQ, KOing. Paragon comes in, going for an Earthquake, we do some good damage, and then we take it out on the second. We get it down to about 40% on our first hit, then afraid of a grass move, I go in and set in Bliss Fable. Substitute makes sure that it's burned, KOs it between turns, and with that we beat Rando. Agreeing to let Rando help us out against Giovanni, we enter the President's office, where he's demanding for an increase in Master Ball production. My name is Rando Oak. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Giovanni approaches us, removing a glove from his left hand, revealing that he has 6 fingers. My god, he is the killer. A double battle begins, and I love this Miss Magius fusion. Our bunny goes for a crunch, but it's blocked by King's Shield, and a Volt Switch hits his Haunch thing. Swapping into Bliss Fable, they go ahead and take out Rando's cat. Swapping again into Vibrunny, a Flash Cannon does good damage to me, and Haunch thing explodes, taking itself out with my bunny. Oh, I was so close to evolving. I'm sorry. Rando burns the Swordsman, and we go ahead and send in our starter. Kekgon comes out for Giovanni, and they double into me, but then we manage to take Aegis Slash down. Donzor comes in with Rando's starter, and an Aqua Tail takes out Kekgon, but an Earthquake from Donzor takes us down. I can't believe I just lost my starter. This run was going so perfectly, and now I've lost 3 Pokemon in Silph. In a bad spot, I go ahead and send in Snorking. After we double into Donzor, I didn't realize it was Bug and not Steel, so my Brick Break doesn't KO, and now Giovanni healed all the way back up. Super. Going for a drill run, we still basically do nothing, so after 8Q does about 50% to us. After a couple turns with the 2v1, we managed to take it out, driving Team Rocket out of Saffron. Getting ready to take out Sabrina, we go ahead and fuse up our Slaking with a Renucleus. In this mode, she's a Fairy Trainer, sending in a Togetails as her first Pokemon. Tanking an Aura Sphere, we managed to Toxic the Fox. After a Psychic, I assume she'll heal up, but she doesn't. I guess I should have just attacked. But after a couple of more hits, we take it down. Maricue's out next, and a Play Rough does a lot of damage to us, and we miss the Toxic. Swapping into Bliss Fable, I burn it after getting knocked down below half. Healing back up, I start to raise my evasion and heal up as needed. After getting it down into the red, Sabrina heals up one more time, but we eventually take out this bag of bones. Sylvar's out next, setting up a Calm Mind, we go for the burn. We just need to let the burn run its course, adding in some smooches in as necessary, and honestly, I don't think I would have done this run if it wasn't for Bliss. Clefix can be very annoying, but once again, Will-O-Wisp exists. So, as he continues to raise its own stats and heal up with wishes, ultimately, it can wish all at once. But that burn damage is going to do exactly what we need it to do. And with that, we earn our Marsh Badge. Now, before taking on Blaine, we have a few more encounters we can grab, so after taking care of all of those, we really need to fill our team back out. Starting off with Lucario and Togekiss, we fuse it into this all-American Jackal. And with Absol and Chandelure, we get this beautiful riff on Mega Absol that I really love. In Modern Mode, Blaine's become a Psychic Trainer, and his first Pokemon is this Monstrosity. Our Absol takes it down into the red with our first Night Slash, and Blaine loves it so much he asks for an Encore. So we do just that, until it goes down. Zykin is out second, and a Night Slash does about 70%, but unfortunately, the Flare Blitz burns us, cutting our attack down. Despite being kinda low, we do manage to take it down as he sends in this Pineapple Puss. Swapping into Ryuking, we tank a Hydro Pump, going for a feint attack. His Moody keeps on raising his evasion, but I can't miss, so after getting hit into the red, he swaps into Galchomp. Switching in for Snorking, he sets up a Swords Dance. Not even considering that this thing has Leaf Blade, my Snorking gets O-Code. I've really loved all my teammates so far this run. There have been so many cool fusions, just wasted. Sending in our Cheesy Gal, and AQ does huge damage to us, but we do manage to cut its attack down. Now that we have the burn, I can safely go ahead and drain Captain Sword Hands. With his final Pokemon back out on the field, we can safely take it out after a few more turns, earning our 7th badge. Jumping over to Mount Ember, it turns out that Giovanni has managed to capture all 3 legendary birds. Not only that, he's managed to fix his triple fusion machine. With Zalmakuno, he plans to take over the entire Kanto region. But there's one thing that he didn't consider. Before taking on Zalmakuno, we go ahead and fuse up our Typhlosion that we got from the Silk President with this Kling Klang for this awesome steel construct. Where was I? Oh yes, one thing he didn't consider. This chunky blue rat. At this point, I really think I have this fight down. To think the first few times I did this, I lose basically my entire team. Now sometimes I don't even need to switch. It does make me feel good when I see so many other people who are much better Nuzlockers than me struggle against this boss. I'm really proud of my little Peekaboo. Good job, buddy. With Giovanni defuses, Zalmakuno defuses, and they scatter away. And with that, Team Rocket disbands. It turns out Giovanni is the missing Viridian gym leader. Now that he's returned, we can challenge him to a battle. In Modern Mode, he's a normal type trainer, but this dude ain't no Larry. Disdain is his first Pokemon, copying my Candlesol. He heals up twice, but after a few attacks, we manage to take it down, but we are pretty low now. Next out is his own Snorking, so we swap in a Vapor Chew. Trying to Thunderbolt as our special attack just gets raised, and the Surf just barely doesn't KO. After he heals up, we get him back down to the red, so he goes ahead and swaps in a Palm. Two hits from us KO this little Fister, and the Snore King comes back out just to go down. Coffee King is up next, so we go ahead and use a nasty plot, taking a Play Rough. Going for a +3 Surf, we just barely don't KO, but the second one does take it down. Now, Tyrancy is out, and I am just as surprised as she is that both of us survived this first round. Thankfully for us, we outspeed, getting the KO, and with that, we've earned our 8th badge. We catch up with Rando back on Route 22. He's taking a selfie with all his badges. He's looking for a warm-up before he heads over to the Elite Four, so I guess we're doing this again. Sending it from Menace, we do some good damage with a flash cannon before we take it down in a second. Magtic comes in next, a discharge doing some good damage as it goes for a shell smash. Lucky for us, it misses a hydro pump, so we can take it down. Ryurion is out next, and we do basically nothing with our first few attacks, and then we get hit down to about half. Swapping into Tagario, we take a Dark Pulse and go for a Draining Kiss, doing big damage. The Shadow Ball does some damage to us, but we manage to just heal it back up after getting the KO. With Lamp Vial out, I go and give it a smooch, and then I remember that it's a ghost, so I start kissing some more as he goes for some huge damage with an Overheat. Lucky for me, Weavile isn't known for its special attack, so we can grab the KO. Whimsray comes in, and after going for a couple of air slashes, we manage to take it down. Ninigard comes in, and we get it down pretty low with an air slash, but a Swagger puts us in KO range, so we swap into Ryuking. An X-Scissor does some pretty good damage to us, and he uses Protect the next round, and another X-Scissor activates our berry. A Fainted Cat connects, and with that, we take down Rando. On Victory Road, we pick up a Pupitar, and now it's time for us to make some changes to the team. The first thing we do is use the two OG pseudos together, and while their typing isn't the best combination, you cannot deny how cool this thing is. Next, we fuse up Torterra and Blastoise for the excellent Blasterra. Now that we have our new team ready to go, let's take a look before we head on in. First up, we have Vaporchu with Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Surf, and Nasty Plot. Next is Blissfable with Draining Kiss, Toxic, Minimize, and Soft Boiled. Blasterra with Giga Drain, Earthquake, Aqua Tail, and Leech Seed. Tagario with Aura Sphere, Air Slash, Calm Mind, and Draining Kiss. Dragatair with Dragon Dance, Crunch, Earthquake, and Roost. And Typhclang with Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon, Flamethrower, and Eruption. Lorelei is a Water-type trainer in Modern Mode, and she sends out Apollyon, and we send out our Peekaboo. Starting with a Nasty Plot, she does some good damage to us with a Flash Cannon. Taking another cannon, we go ahead and set up another Nasty Plot and get the Oko with a Thunderbolt. Scartops is out next, and he thinks she'd learn not to use steel moves, but it goes down. Gyaraku is my favorite sprite, and thanks to the disguise, it managed to get a hit on us, but then we take it down in the next turn. Kingstar outspeeds us, getting us low enough for our berry, but then we manage to take it down in one. Okay, I hate Pikachu. I swap into Blasterra so I can seed it, and she goes ahead and poisons me. Going for some chip damage, she starts to spam Destiny Bomb between heals. After using both of her potions, at this point, I cannot keep taking poison damage, so I swap into Vaporchu. It just keeps on spamming Destiny Bond, so I keep on using Nasty Plot to try to avoid killing it, waiting for it to not use Destiny Bond. When I think there's no other choice, my least useful team member for the Elite Four has to be Typhclang, so I go ahead and swap into it, assuming that we're about to say goodbye. But by the grace of Arceus, the Leech Seed damage doesn't proc Destiny Bond, and we avoid death. Swapping back into Vaporchu, she heals us up with a Hydro Pump, and we go ahead and use two Nasty Plots. Going for a neutral Thunderbolt, we don't quite get the KO, but a second one seals her fate, and we move on to Bruno. Bruno has rock hard grit and determination. Wait, isn't that somebody else's line? Why do I keep on using this joke? Sending out Tire Flame, we go and send in our Peekaboo. Going for a Nasty Plot, he U-turns out, sending in Marorier. Going for a Surf, luckily our ×4 super effective helps us avoid Earthquake, but stupid me forgets this Clefairy has Storm Drain. After almost KOing it with an Ice Beam, he U-turns out into Kingron, who stays up because of its sturdy, and we survive on just 7 HP. This thing is an absolute unit. Swapping into Blastera, he heals back up, and a Giga Drain does some huge damage. And I don't know what Metal Burst is, but why did it almost kill me? Bruno heals back up again, and I drain it again, taking it down on the following turn. Kruluff is back in, and he does some huge damage to us with a Giga Drain, and I do basically none. Switching into Tagario, I tank the next drain, going for a Calm Mind. He keeps on trying to stick the straw into my firm metal body, but an Aura Sphere doesn't quite get the KO, and he U-turns out again. Aerodon is out now, and this guy is really scary, and I go for another Calm Mind. I don't know why I keep on forgetting my weaknesses, as I almost get KO'd before I swap into Blissfable. A lot better equipped to tank this thing, I get hit by 2 EQs as I go ahead and poison it. We both heal up, and I just start spamming Minimize. Despite being at +6 evasion, this thing keeps hitting me, and eventually it switches back into his bird, only to U-turn into Armazor. After missing Toxic like 5 times, I finally connect, and he switches into his bird again, setting up the rocks. We manage to get the poison off, and now I just need to stay alive and let the Toxic stack up. Before his bird can go down, he swaps again into Kruluff, so I can just go ahead and take it down. Armazor takes a few rounds, but it also goes down. Aerodon keeps on spamming Roosters to troll me until it double-edges itself over the edge. Finally, Tyraflame goes down, and we're on to Agatha. Agatha's the master of poison in this mode, which honestly is what she's kind of always been. Setting in her Clinkfish, I forget that the team's changed in this most recent update, so I swap in a Blastera. This pufferfish manages to lay down 2 layers of spice before I knock it down with his Focus Sash, and after a heal up, I manage to take it down. Clefairy is out next, and fearing a grass move, I swap into Togario. She goes ahead and sets up the Leech Seed, and now I need to switch again, sending in Type Clang. A Giga Drain does basically nothing, and we go for an Eruption, doing a little bit more than half. Moonblast does some minor damage, and while she heals up, a Flash Cannon does about 60%, with another one getting the KO. Haunch Sting is out next, going for a Flash Cannon that do just under 50%. I realized I forgot to give this guy a berry, but since we're faster, I do manage to take it down. Croaggon has a silly little face. I send in Tagario just for it to turn out, activating my berry, and uh-oh comes in. In kind of a bad spot, I go for an Air Slash, getting 1 flinch up before barely surviving a Sacred Fire. Setting my Dragon out, we tank the next one, going for a Crunch, and we miss. Taking another 2 Sacred Fires, we manage to stack up 3 Dragon Dances, and then once we connect with a Crunch, we get the KO. Terrified that this thing is a Dragon move, I swap into Vapor Chew and barely hold on after an Outrage. Swapping into Blastera, we do tank it pretty well, and now it's confused. Going for a Leech Seed, he heals up with Leech Life, and I do some okay damage with Aqua Tail. Testing out whether this thing is Levitate or not, I get lucky that it doesn't, and we get the KO. After this fairly drawn-out battle, Arnix comes in, and now it's time to face Lance. Lance is a master of flying Pokemon in this mode, sending out a Toga Flame as his first Pokemon. Vapor Chew sets up a nasty plot, taking a Moonblast, and we get the Oko on the next turn. Snorkor is just happy to see us, and he's dead now. Septidactyl is so cool, and I'm really lucky that he wasted his Power Herb. Dark night is the night, and good night. Volcageot, more like, I got nothing. And Age of Menace is no longer a menace. I don't think I've ever swept Lance like that before. We enter the Champion's Chamber where Rando is practicing his victory speech. When he sees me enter the room, he throws those flashcards on the ground, enraged. Why won't you just let me have something? You know what? This time, you won't beat me. My prayers have finally been answered. I've collected and assembled the most powerful team ever. You will not take this from me. He readies his Pokeball and sends out his Ninsharp. After activating his Sash and healing back up, his first Pokemon goes down without much effort, sending in out his Triple Fusion of the Sinnoh starters. Rando must have gone back down to where Giovanni fused that Makuno and found an extra Splicer. You cheeky punk. Not sure exactly what this thing is weak to, I go for an Eruption, doing basically nothing as a Flare Blitz does some okay damage to me. This time going for a flash cannon, I do just as little, and I still don't have a berry, so I need to swap. Swapping in the Dragonair, a close combat does some decent damage to us, but we tank it pretty well. After one Dragon Dance, we KO this big guy. Hax Menace is out next, swapping into Jagario, we manage to avoid the Outrage, and then we go for a Calm Mind. He also takes this opportunity to buff up and OHKOs us with an Earthquake. You will not get away with this, rando. Sending Imbal's Fable, and EQ does about 30% to us, and we go ahead and use Toxic, only for Rando to heal it. He uses Fly as we heal back up. Another EQ hits us, and he goes for another Dragon Dance. We drain him a bit as he uses Fly again, but another Smooch managed to take this guy down. Luxieus? I knew God was dog backwards, but this is ridiculous. And so is this Retaliate, my MVP. The only reason we're here. Sending in Blasterra, he heals up just to tease me. An EQ does some huge damage, but he hits us with a Retaliate. I seed him and he heals back up, and I drain him trying to top myself off. Retaliate is kind of a problem, but after another EQ, he's low enough that the Leech Seed can finally finish him off. Ryurion slaps us hard with a Hyper Voice, but I managed to get the Seed off, swapping in the Vapor Chew. Tanking a Psychic, I managed to set up a Nasty Plot, and after another Scream, my Berry puts us just above half. Surf gets him down into the red, and he uses Wish, and honestly, this saves me, because now I can pick up the KO. His final Pokemon is Chandelvile, which goes down into Surse. And with that, we become the Kanto League champions. This run was so much fun. No special rules, no specific Pokemon, just me trying to use stuff I've never used before on a harder version of the game. I want to thank everyone who's still watching, and everyone who's supported the channel so far. If you made it this far in the video and you haven't subbed yet, please consider hitting that button and giving it a thumbs up too. Best way for other people to see the videos is by you showing your support. We'll be back for the second half of this game soon. I don't know if it'll necessarily be the next video. I have no idea how long Johto takes since I've never done it before. But I'll catch you next time. See ya.